I'm Carla with Race to Walk, and this is the Adventures at the Marion County Courthouse. So, anyway, on my channel, I started publishing regularly in 2019. I was doing Bible studies and book reviews. My tagline was sharing good thoughts about good words. And they were so good that they've all been stolen, which led to this series, Hack the Saga. So, anyway, if you go to my website, racetowalk.org, just a second. Where am I? Okay. I do have a whole page on all the updates that I've done um, about this whole situation. And I think this is like number 44 update. So, anyway, one of my last live streams, I mentioned that I could tell that there had been fake legals, well, public notices that were basically for not valid um, legal cases or probates. And so a big part of it was fake probates. I could tell that people were money laundering through that. But also, I had noticed that Marion County sheriffs have been having sheriff sales, and which is not unusual. It's like a normal thing, but I am like literally like there's so much shady. I'm at the Kaiser Library. That's what you hear in the background. There's so much shady stuff going on that I just at this point everything I'm just like looking at again like, okay, what is this? So today's Monday, July 21st, there was a public notice. It was published 3 times in the Kaiser Times for 2 properties that were supposed to be sold today at the Marion County Courthouse. So let me see. This is the Marion County Courthouse. It's 100 High Street. And that is where I mentioned in the last one that I published on YouTube, but I actually streamed it in June, was that you could go here and you go in through the doors, you have to go through security, you take a left, and then like at the end of the hall on the right hand side, there's the records room, and you can just go in and look up court cases. And that is when I had pulled up some probates, I realized that some of them were faked. Like they were an actual probate number, but it wasn't what was published in the paper, wasn't actually what was filed with the court. So anyway, there's 2 properties that are supposed to be sold today by sheriff sale. And so I had just found the individual pages, but if you go to it's sheriff sale, OregonSheriffSales.org. I thought I had more previews, but I guess not. It's OregonSheriffsSales.org, I think. I'll put a link on my website when I put this up. And this is like where they have all their sheriff sales listings. So anyway, the Marion County Sheriffs are the ones who publish a public notice. And then if you go to the property listing, this is what it says. So there's 2 of them that we're selling. One was this one was one in Staten, and then this one was in, where was this one? It's responding slow. Staten. Oh, maybe I uploaded the same one. Okay, anyway, this is not the picture of the house, but anyway, this is one of the listings. And so I go up to, I have videos of this, and I'm going to do a different live stream where I have like clips and things of all this. I'm on my iPad, but I just wanted to just share this because this is like the craziest thing. So anyway, it's 10 o'clock. I was going to try to live stream. It, but the amount of opposition just tells me there's something sketchy going on. Who cares? I mean, if everything's on the up and up, who cares who goes and watches a public auction? It would just be like an educational thing, right? Okay. So I'm trying to get everything set up. I'm trying to log into Restream. So I have my hacked Google Pixel phone, but I was going to share that with this other phone that I have, and they were somehow interfering with that, so that wouldn't load. And then I'm trying to get into my iPad to go on to that because I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can stream through that. And they kept shutting off the internet on my Google Pixel, and then my iPad is like draining like super fast. Like I was trying to log in, and by the time I got logged in, everything set up, I was at 1% and my iPad died. So I thought, okay, whatever, forget this. So what I did instead is um, I just recorded it. So I do have recordings, and that's when I'll probably share this a little bit later. But anyway, so I'm recording as I'm going over there. So at 10 o'clock, we're going to the courthouse steps, right? So you see over kind of like to the left that little I don't know what you call it, the little planter, that second planter over on the left. Okay, so they were standing. There's two people. I guess it's the Marion County sheriffs that were standing there, and there was me and this other person, this other woman, and then there was a couple. And I talked to the man afterwards, and he said that they were from Almsville and they just wanted to check it out, and they didn't know. They were looking, they couldn't find what the minimum bid was, what the process was. They saw one place where they had to register ahead of time, but then they looked somewhere else and they actually didn't. And so it wasn't really clear if somebody actually wanted to bid. So, anyway, um, so she's standing up there and she's like, well, the one woman said, oh, is anybody here to bid? And she's like, oh, okay, well, um, basically, both of the auctions had been postponed. And then I said, okay, well, so the public notice was because they have to publish it 3 weeks in a row, right? And so there's not going to be any notice of the postponement. And she said, well, it'll be on our website. Now I just checked just like 10 minutes ago. And so this is at 10 o'clock in the morning. They still haven't updated that website that it was postponed. So anyway, she's like, what? So one had been postponed. There was the other, oh, it's Conaway Drive. That's what it was. There was one on Conaway Drive that I guess was in South Salem. I guess. Anyway, that one was like a $2 million property. That one was postponed until next week. And it does say on the Marshall site that they can postpone it without notice and to check with them. And what they said, oh, well, the attorney called about an hour ago and postponed them. So one was the higher price home was postponed until the 28th. And then the other one in Staten was postponed an hour. I don't know what that was about. So anyway, so it was postponed an hour. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm just I was asking some questions. I have a video of that. And then I thought, well, I just was kind of waiting a little bit. And so then I go somewhere else, come back. I'm back there about, I guess 10:30. And there was one other woman there. And then this guy comes up. So the two people that ended up bidding at 11, they weren't there at 10. And so I just find that kind of interesting. But then, so at 10 o'clock, the two women with the sheriff's office were standing again right by the steps, because it says I will sell on the county steps. This is what it says in the steps of the courtyard, right? And that's where they were. And then they said, oh, are you here to bid? I said, no, I'm just watching. And so then they take the man and the woman and they go back in this corner. So you see that first corner to the left of the doors? They literally go back there. And so I just like walk up on the steps, right? Like I'm not getting up in their business. I'm just, again, this is like a whole public thing. That's the whole point of it, right? It's supposed to be open and out in the public. And so then the two people who are bidding go and hide. They're basically standing behind the column. So I'm recording on my Google Google Pixel phone, and so I'm talking out loud that they would be able to hear me, but I'm recording crazy. I said because it says I will sell on the courthouse steps, not in the courthouse corner. What the heck is that? And so anyway, I said, oh, wow, that's not suspicious. You're like going and hiding behind a column, because that's literally what they were doing. And so, no joke, immediately after the man and the woman, then he goes and stands over by the two people. So it's like, I'm thinking this was like, it seemed to me like it was a literal response from what I had just said on my phone. Do you not find that suspicious? I find that suspicious. So anyway, why do I go down? I just went because I just wanted to. I like sometimes just feel like I'm just gonna check out. When 20 days heck, and I thought, you know what? I am just gonna go and I'm gonna look at the polls. I didn't have anything I was looking at onto each of the polls, and they're supposed to have the numbers posted. There's supposed to be a sheet outside the door that says how many people had voted at that location at specific points in time. People from the campaigns cannot go into the polls, but they can go up and look at those numbers. So I was just going around looking just to see. I didn't have anything I was looking for. I just took a picture of it, and I was just going around just to see what was going on. I get down to the poll at Dewson Park, which is in the Summer Creek area, which, by the way, Kingwood is they're very reliable voters for the Republican Party. Summer Creek is a very reliable voters for the Democratic Party. The Democrats don't really make sure that they have a place to vote, though, because when I went to Dewson Park, it literally said on the gate, it said the park was closed. I mean, somebody just driving by will think, oh, okay, and then leave. So anyway, then you have to go all the way back, and it's almost like this, adventure, just even trying to find the poll location. And then because I could see where it was because of all the candidate signs, and then when I went up to the poll, the candidate signs were there, but all the required signs that were you're supposed to post for the poll information itself, they were pulled. And I went up there, and there's supposed to be like posters and things up outside the polling location. Those were gone. And they didn't have that sheet outside, and when I asked, this lady came out to ask me, oh, do you want to vote? And I said, well, I'm just looking for I can't even remember what it's called, but anyway, the count sheet. And she had to go into the poll to get it. They had basically been pulling things that made it clear that was a poll location. What kind of shadiness is that? So anyway, I was just going to look, but the whole go hiding in a corner and behind columns, that doesn't look suspicious. Okay, I'm not joking. So here's the other thing, and I'm not going to do. I do have video of the hiding behind the corner, them doing the sale, hiding behind a column, them doing the sale in the corner rather than been the hour before. But I did. See, this is the thing. I didn't. Again, even the fake probates. I mean, it's not like I'm really know what I'm looking for. I'm just noticing patterns. I see these things. I can kind of tell what they're related to, and so I just investigate further. And so anyway, so I'm going back and I'm looking at this listing. Okay, so this is I'll have a picture of this. I'm going back and looking at this listing, right, on the Marion County Sheriff's site. And so when on some of these other things, like notice of the sale, and there was if you scroll down a little bit more, it has a writ of execution and things like that. When I was just printing them and saving them as a PDF on my website, right, or on my laptop, right? I tried doing that to this page on the Marion County Sheriff's site. I don't know what the deal is. I tried 3 times and I couldn't download it. So I had to do a screenshot of it. So I had a record of it instead. So anyway, and oh, by the way, just as 10 minutes ago, they still hadn't updated that. This one, right? This one was postponed by an hour, but the other one had been postponed and they still hadn't updated it. So anyway, going through and I'm looking at it. I was going to do a search for some of the things in the judgment itself. So I mentioned in that last live stream that I actually did in June but didn't post till a couple days ago, the one on education and sabotage. I mentioned at the end of it that somebody at my graduation lunch, it wasn't mine specifically, but that they had been like a test pilot or something, for a pilot project for the whole net neutrality thing, which I thought was kind of bizarre. And I had looked afterwards to try to see what the conversation was about, how they, just what the thought was, how it came about, who proposed it, and all this stuff. Which, okay, my connection lost a little bit. Hopefully I'm reconnecting. Like I said, Tell's always in the response. And this, I think this is they're jacking with my connection from my phone, because that's what my iPad's going off of. So, yeah, political manipulators. This is what let me say this again. Carice Gillens, who I graduated with, her brother was on the Shenandoah City Council at the time. And he and Jerry Walls and one other of the philosophy professors were talking about net neutrality, that whole thing, at the Houston Baptist University graduation lunch that we had at the Hobbit Cafe. And Jerry Walls and whoever the other philosophy professor was, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is not going to be good." Da, da, da. And Carice's brother's like, "Oh no, it's not going to be that bad. We've been doing some sort of pilot project for that in Shenandoah, and in case this didn't come through because my connection was disconnected, I went to go and find the minutes for that meeting so I could see what kind of conversation led to them deciding that, yes, that would be a good thing, and who proposed it and what the terms were and all that." And they had changed their minutes process to having audio recordings rather than written minutes. And I said in that other stream, that is what shady people do, because it makes it harder to find the information. I don't know if they still do it that way. Quite frankly, I don't think that should be. It doesn't seem like it's legal to me. I don't know, but I don't know the laws, and I didn't investigate it further because I was in my last semester. No, I had just graduated. Anyway, well, I was busy. I had other things on my plate. But also, this is what shady people do. They try to make the information difficult to get to, right? And so when I was that summer before I graduated, summer 2017, it's about a month or so before Harvey, I went through 17 years of, because we had that crazy election at Humboldt ISD School Board. There was all this dark money coming in. I was like, what the heck is going on? Who is behind this? And so I was looking at I wanted to look at the campaign finance reports for the Kingwood Tea Party, but he doesn't file them. So anyway, so I was looking at other Tea Party related finance reports, just to see what it was that they did. I looked through 17 years of the Texas Right to Life's campaign finance reports. And the reason I did that was because they basically did this hit. It was kind of like a hit on Abby Whitmire, who did this massive robocall thing through targeting, because she had used to work for Planned Parenthood, and so they did robocalls for the whole district, trashing her. And so anyway, I wanted to see where this money was coming from. And what I noticed with that, so specifically with the Texas Right to Life, There's really not a lot of, even if they investigate it, even if the ethics commission, the Texas Ethics Commission, yes, I know that's an oxymoron with Ken Paxton as the Attorney General, but there is such a thing. Even if they investigate a complaint, there's really not a lot of teeth to it. They might do like a censure or something, fine them like $500 or something, but there's not really a lot of consequences for doing shitty things in political campaigns. But what I noticed with the Texas Right to Life multiple times is that there would have been multiple complaints filed against their PAC. Each time it was like they filed a correction. It was like an oops. Like there were some elections, some periods and some reporting periods where they had filed corrections like 2 or 3 times. So for the same thing. But the other thing I noticed was that one of the things this is always a tell. If there is a PDF available somewhere and it's recent, I'm not talking old scans or anything, but recent, and it's not text editable, that's a flag. If it's uploaded, if a PDF is uploaded as like an image, that's something to look twice at, because I saw that on some of the campaign financings that they were uploaded as image, because then it's like it's not, you can't scan it, it's harder to get the information. So this is what I found. That's kind of my experience. It's like when PDFs are uploaded as an image, you ask, why is that? And maybe look again. But one of the things I noticed about the judgments on that particular, there's 2 things, which I have to go investigate it. One of the things that was kind of like what is going on, the judgment PDF is all image. You can't select the text. So that's one question. The second thing is that the case number is from 2020, not from 2025. So anyway, I don't know what that means. I mean, it could be, this is what I noticed also, according to Zillow, and again, I have to go look at the actual county records, but according to Zillow, it sold in the end of December of 2022. And what it looks like, it sold for like $35,000. So I'm guessing that like somebody owned it, they died, and then their heir, like was the consideration. I don't know. But anyway, the deeds that they're claiming the foreclosure based on were from 2008. So it could have been that the heir assumed them and then kept paying, and that's a foreclosure on that. But considering that the case number is a case number from 2020, that sounds sketchy to me. So anyway, that and then the whole, just their demeanor, like moving everybody to the corner, the 2 bidders standing behind the column until I say something. It's just all it just makes you like, what's going on? And again, they weren't there at 10. I mean, I guess they could have called, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I did today. I was also working on some other stuff, but I thought, you know what? I've just been staring at these legals the whole time. I'm going to see what actually is behind them. So anyway, that's what I did today. And I might a little bit later. Well, I have to go back down there and actually look up several things that have to do with that particular transaction. But there's, like I said, there's a few things about that make me think that, I don't know. it raises some questions for me, just from past experience with shady Texans. So Oregonians can be shady too. So anyway, that's my little update for the day. And oh yeah, so I this is the thing. I used StreamYard for years, and then they raised the price. And besides that, I was like every single time I was getting I was streaming, I was getting a lot of interference. I do think that I don't have, other than when they cut off my internet connection, I do think that it seems like StreamYard's not quite as susceptible to that interference. Maybe. I'll have to see. But anyway, just a reminder, I published Hack the Saga, Propaganda and Government Corruptions, the stream notes. And this is just because that was how long was it? It was an hour live stream. And this just gives a lot of documentation and details with like more than what's even in the stream itself. And so that's available on my site, Effusion MG. But also I also published a package where you can get No Fear, propaganda, and also the propaganda and government corruption. So the thing about that is, oh shoot, okay, I just discovered the QR code too. I'm still figuring out how to do all this on Restream. It's pretty similar to StreamYard, but there's just some things that are a little different, and so I have to get used to it. But anyway, so if you haven't watched that live stream, this is a story. This is one of the things that was stolen. This is my little devotional, #NoFear, that I did published in 2019. And last year I discovered that it had been plagiarized, and it was used to create a pretty blasphemous devotional and that was put on YouTube. And in this stream, Propaganda and Government Corruption, what I read through it and give a comparison between my devotional, #NoFear, and the plagiarized devotional. So just a little bit about this particular little devotional. My daughter Taylor actually did the art direction for that cover. I was still trying to find what I had originally that I was going to do, but I was showing her. She's like, "No, Mom, no, I don't like that." And so she gave me some ideas and advice, and so she was kind of she was the inspiration behind that cover. So anyway, her birthday was last week, and so up until I think I'm going to run this until, why is this not doing this? Sorry, I'm still figuring out how this works. Up until, I see. It's not. Up until August 1st, I'm going to be doing a 20% discount, and this is not. Okay. I think there might still be some interference because I can't switch to banners. But anyway, if you want this this package, I'm having a 20% discount up until August 1st. And the discount code is Happy Birthday Taylor. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. Also, on racewalk.org, I'm trying to have a little bit more, because I know the stuff I'm putting out is a lot of information, and it can be probably a little muddy weeding through. So I'm one of the things I'm doing is I'm publishing these stream notes. If there's a particular episode that you would like to see me focus on, because again, I'm approaching 50 of these updates. So if there's a particular one that you think, okay, you need to document this and provide a little bit more visual aids on it that make it easier to get through and parse, let me know which one you'd like me to put a priority to, and that's what I'll do. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go and continue in documenting, and giving criminals grief and heartburn. So I hope you all have had a great start to your week, and I'll talk to you